Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Today we're going to talk about an interesting issue about narcissists and pedestals. Before we go to that, as always, I ask if you're not already a subscriber, please hit the bell. Then you'll not only get notifications about our regular videos that come out, but as well as new series and live events and a bunch of other stuff that sort of keeps this channel sort of dynamic and hopefully addresses your questions. We also always welcome you, even in the comment section below. If there's a video you want to see made, let us know, and because we would love to be able to make that content available that really addresses the questions that you have. So let's go to this question of narcissists and pedestals. What am I even talking about? When I say pedestal, I'm really referring to the idea of putting someone on a pedestal. So let's take this in two different directions. Number one, when a narcissist puts you on a pedestal, and number two, when you put the narcissist on a pedestal. So let's start talking about how they put you on a pedestal. First of all, no one should be on a pedestal. And the reason is, anytime you go on a pedestal, guess what's most likely to happen? You're going to fall. Nobody ever stays on a pedestal. We really should kind of all be standing on the same hard, even ground. But many people who have been in narcissistic relationships, not all, and some of you are thinking, God, my mom never put me on a pedestal, or my husband never, or my wife, or anyone never put me on a pedestal. This doesn't always happen. But I have no doubt that for a significant number of you, you were put on a pedestal by whatever narcissist you had. Why do they do that? First of all, it's often part of the love bombing part of a relationship. They really pump you up. I cannot believe how lucky I am to be with you. You're the most beautiful thing in the world. I mean, wow, this is amazing. And on and on and on and on. They put you on a pedestal. And for those of us out there, most of you, anyone who's sane actually finds that uncomfortable initially. There's something a little bit seductive. You're like, whoa, I sort of feel special. But then we always think, oh, I'm not going to be able to stay on this pedestal for long. They're going to start seeing through to the whole me. And then at some point, they're going to realize, I don't live up on this pedestal. I'm not all that. Nobody is all that. But it is kind of fun for a little while to be put up there. I always tell people, if you're put on a pedestal, be very, very careful. Because what's likely to be coming soon is the devaluing and the discarding phases. So why would a narcissist even put you on a pedestal in the first place, especially since over time, they're more likely to view you with contempt and devalue you and discard you and invalidate you? Why the heck would they put you up on such a high shelf in the first place? Well, the answer lies in grandiosity. For the narcissistic person, it's all about the grandiosity. And the grandiosity, as we've talked about many times on this channel before, is a defense that protects them. Okay? If I say I'm great, then I must be great. If I drive a great car, I must be great. If I carry a great bag, I must be great. If I do great things that I can share with the world on social media, then I must be great. Versus this idea of really creating themselves as a person of depth or anything like that, the grandiosity becomes protective of their core insecurity. Well, you're part of the new ride now, aren't you? So they have to put you on a pedestal to help drive the grandiosity. You have to be great so they can be great. So it's really not a recognition of your true wonderfulness. But if that's the case, all of us should be on pedestals, and then who the hell is going to be walking around on the ground? They're doing this to make them look good to the world. I'm sure a few of you will think of events or incidences in your life where maybe you were more attractive than your narcissist, or had something going on that they didn't. You had a more powerful job, you had a more I don't know, maybe a more advanced educational background. You may have had more power. Your family might be sort of, more recognized in the community, whatever it may be. But you may have really brought something to the table. In a lot of cases, it's just simply attractiveness. When that happens, the narcissist really has a lot of buy-in, because your good stuff, your grandiose stuff as it was, even though you may not think of it as grandiose, helps prop them up. And they're very, very proud. So they put you on a pedestal. Again, it's for them. It's not about you. And it helps foster and strengthen their own sense of grandiosity. But here's what happens. that gets exhausting for them after a while. They can't keep it up. I actually don't think anyone can keep it up. On that case, narcissist, not a narcissist, it's hard to keep someone up on a pedestal. The fact is, at some point, and forgive me for saying something so crude, someone farts in front of you. And then you realize, like, everyone's human. And there is always that sort of fall from grace. I actually think it's the best moment of all that happens in a relationship. When your partner or friend or anyone sees you as a human being, not someone on a pedestal. And this idea of pedestaling people can even happen in family systems, especially if you're bringing in some good stuff into the family. Let's say you're a kid who's a sports star or a fancy ballerina, or you're doing really well in school or getting some other awards and honors, that the narcissist in your family may also put you on the pedestal, sort of in a more of a golden child role. And that can also be sort of off-putting for the other people in the family, and also uncomfortable for you, who might feel like, I don't know if I want to be in this position. And in fact, the only reason they're putting me on a pedestal is so I make them look good, and not that because they necessarily are linked in deeply to my emotional world or anything like that. So that's why narcissists do it. But I can guarantee you it's just a matter of time before they will devalue you, they will discard you, and you're going to be left wondering, how did that happen? Many of you might not even think like, I want to be back on the pedestal, but you're going to wonder, how did I fall off so quickly and so abruptly? In fact, some people will even say, like, how do I even go back to that time? It's not even that I want to be on a pedestal, but I would love for this narcissistic person in my life to still see these good things in me. But the only reason they saw them is because it was propping up the narcissist's grandiosity. As you sit up on that pedestal, the thing that's happening day over day over day is that your narcissist is getting more insecure. They may even think that, God, I hope they don't find out that maybe I shouldn't be with them. Like all of their insecurity gets started up. Maybe the narcissist may think, maybe my partner's too attractive and it's going to leave and it's going to cheat, or maybe my partner makes more money than me and they're going to see through that. They're not aware of that discourse. They just feel uncomfortable. They may fess up to it, for example, to a therapist or something, but they're going to be uncomfortable. And as a result of that, as that discomfort grows and grows and grows, and they keep you up on your strange little pedestal, then one day you hit the tipping point and they will start to devalue you and they will start to discard you. That is inevitable. So in some ways, once you're put up on a pedestal, that should be a big, tall, red flag. In fact, if you are put up on a pedestal, the one thing you're going to try to do is find a ladder and climb back down real quickly. It's not a comfortable place to stay in any human relationship. So let's flip it. What about when you put the narcissist on a pedestal? And many of us have done it, right? They're charming, they're charismatic, they're confident, they're successful. It's very appealing to take this new, attractive, engaging person in your life and put them up on a pedestal. I'm so lucky, this person's giving me so much attention, they're so into me, they have achieved so much in their life. And you start playing the game, especially if they're love bombing you. They're love bombing you. In some ways, you're kind of giving it back. You're giving them that narcissistic supply. You may even be full-on narcissistic fluffing, just like, woo, this is so great. And then you put them up on a pedestal. That's a very, very dangerous place for a narcissist to be, because from that pedestal, they are often going to try to control you and manipulate you and have you exactly where they want. And since they're already up on a pedestal, it's almost like now that they have the bird's eye view, they have a good sense of what they can do and how much control they can hold in a relationship. Many times people put people on pedestals, like we put our narcissists on pedestals, because we don't feel like we're good enough. Because we feel like we're not good enough, oh, I'm so lucky you want to spend time with me, so boop, we put them up on the pedestal. It's really, really important. And whether you're putting a narcissist or a non-narcissist in your life on a pedestal, that's never a healthy dynamic. All of us deserve the experience of feeling equal and comfortable in our relationships. That we can look that we are all people, And that there's not that people have it all over us and belong on a pedestal. Sadly, we do live in a culture where we do have a lot of celebrity worship, and we believe certain people are better on the basis of their achievements. I know what I'm saying right now is going to be a tough sell, but no one really is. I don't care if they're a world famous athlete, or if they're a head of a major company, or they're a famous movie star. All of you can be standing on the same even ground. I'm going to be honest with you. Once you put that narcissist in your life on a pedestal, there's no getting them down. If the day comes that you do want this relationship to be more equal, so in other words, let's say you've been in the relationship 6, 12 months. You've put them up on that pedestal. You'll be like, enough already. I need this person to take the trash out. They're not going to come down off that pedestal and take the trash out. That's just not what they do. So it's a very risky precedent, and it often can originate from that part of ourselves that say, I'm not enough. So maybe I need to put them up there so they don't leave me. If that's what you need to do to keep the relationship going, you're better off walking away from it with grace and finding a relationship where you stand on more equal ground with someone, as well as doing the psychological work yourself so you feel like you are enough, no matter who you're with. Pedestals and human relationships don't get to go together well. And another place we see this is in the workplace and in family relationships. In family relationships, you may very well put the narcissist on a pedestal, and here's another problem. Sometimes narcissists get up on pedestals and you're not the one who put them up there. Other people did. This particularly can happen if you're from a family system where there's a communal narcissist, or if you're even in a relationship with a communal narcissist. Everyone's saying, oh, they're so great, they're a pillar of the community, they're so involved in the church, they've donated so much money, they've helped me out when I've gone through a hard time. Everyone else puts them up on a pedestal. And yet, that person on a pedestal is treating you horribly. It can be really, really hard when someone is put on a pedestal by the rest of the world to be able to communicate in a way so that other people understand what it is you're going through. And I can promise you this, you ain't going to be the one to pull them down off that pedestal. The best you're going to be able to do is walk away from that relationship or set some really, really hardcore boundaries. Because the fact of the matter is, as long as they're up there, their grandiosity is keeping them up. It's almost like the world creates a monster when they put people up on a pedestal. And this can happen in the workplace too. Think of jobs you've had where you work for someone who is all that, right? This is the company to work for. This is the boss to work for. And everyone puts that person all the way up there. Those are often bosses who are at greater vulnerability of mistreating employees, of playing favorites, of, again, rolling that grandiosity card in the workplace and creating a workplace that's triangulated, chaotic, tense, entitled, and the odds of you advancing, I mean, there's usually only enough room on a pedestal for one person. So that might create also a structure where you're not going to be the one to climb up. And perhaps it's the people who really keep that person up on the pedestal who does. And leaders who are kept up on pedestals are often not able to understand or attend to the needs of the people who work for them because their head's so up in the clouds, they may just be getting dizzy from the altitude. Pedestals, relationships, I don't care if it's your close relationships, friends, workplace, or family. They don't go together. If you're up on one, try to figure out a way to get down. If you're up on one, try to figure out a way to get down from there real quick. Doesn't mean you have to put yourself down, but humanize yourself in that relationship. And it's easy to get blinded once you're up on that pedestal, think, wow, this is all that. Instead, pay attention. That's not where you belong. And I trust me, that fall from grace high up from that pedestal is not going to feel good. And before you put the narcissistic person in your life up on a pedestal or get yourself into situations where they're put up there by other people, recognize that if you think a narcissist at ground level is a handful, you should try it out when they're up on a pedestal. So thanks again, as always, for tuning in. If you're new to this and you like this content, please hit the bell and you'll get notifications about our whole library, an ongoing, evolving library of videos about narcissism. Thanks again.